Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Hostages freed and prisoners released in latest ceasefire exchange. Ecuador votes for a new president after years of violence and blackouts. African summit urges immediate Democratic Republic of Congo ceasefire. Modi's BJP win big in high-stakes Delhi election. Zelensky says North Korean troops back on front line. Trump and Japanese PM Ishiba talks tariff and vows to stand against Chinese aggression. Iran ready to negotiate with the United States but not under Trump's maximum pressure policy. BigBear.ai soars 26.88% as tech stocks showed mixed performance. Amazon and Tesla declines. Tiger Woods commit to playing first PGA Tour event in 7 months at Genesis Invitational. India vs England first ODI highlight. Shubman Gill leads India to 4-wicket win over England. Now let's look at the details. Hamas has freed 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza while Israel released 183 Palestinian prisoners in the latest exchange as part of the internationally brokered ceasefire deal. The 3 hostages, Ali Sharabi, Ohad bin Emi and Or Levi, were handed over to the Red Cross Society on Saturday morning before reuniting with their families in Israel. Concerns have been raised about their well-being, with Mr. Sharabi's family, who live in the United Kingdom, describing their shock at his gaunt appearance. Returning Palestinian prisoners were greeted with scenes of celebration at Ramallah in the occupied West Bank, the representatives also claiming that they all needed medical care without giving specifics. So far, 21 hostages and 566 prisoners have been freed since the ceasefire began on 19 January 2025. By the end of the first stage of the ceasefire in 3 weeks' time, 33 hostages and 1,900 prisoners are expected to be freed. Israel says that 8 of the 33 are dead, as Mr. Sharabi, Ben Emi and Mr. Levi were handed over to the Red Cross in the Deir al-Bala, the central Gaza, crowd lined up, cordoned off by a row of armed fighters to watch and film on mobile phones as Hamas and Palestinian flags flew. A Hamas official and Red Cross representative signed paperwork on the stage to complete the handover. The hostages were also paraded on stage, flanked by men with guns. The 3 men posed holding the certificates and answered questions into a microphone before waving as they were ushered into the Red Cross vehicles. Israeli President Isaac Herzog expressed honor of the physical state of the men who have been said were returning after 491 days of hell, starved and emaciated and pained. Also, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also criticized the men's state, saying, "We have seen again what the monster of the Hamas are. Also, we are accused that Hamas of repeated violation of the ceasefire deal without providing specifics." Hamas spokesperson Hazem Qassem also said the latest release of Israeli hostages have been carried out in a civilized manner. He also accused Israel of dragging into the feet on implementing of the humanitarian relief agreed as part of the ceasefire. Netanyahu's coordinator of prisoners and missing persons said Israel treated the issue with great severity and would raise them with the ceasefire mediators and take actions as well. It was incredibly difficult to see him thin, gaunt, and being paraded by the Hamas, Mr. Bresley said. In the light that's gone from the eyes, that's really stuck home for me. Ali Sharbi, 52-year-old, was taken from Kibbutz Be'eri and with his brother Yossi, whose death has been since confirmed. Also, Ali's British-born wife Liane and the two daughters Noya and Yahel were murdered in the attack. During his release, Mr. Sharabi was filmed saying he was very happy today to return to his wife and daughters, adding to concern he was unaware of the family had been killed. Also, the Hostages and Missing Families Forum said in a statement that the disturbing images of the release serve as yet another stark and painful evidence that leaves no room for the doubt. There is no time to waste for the hostages. We must get them all out, down to very last hostage. Meanwhile, the International Committee on the Red Cross, that is ICRC, which facilitated the handover, said it was increasingly concerned about the conditions surrounding release operation. Ecuadorian voters are preparing to cast their ballot for a new president for the second time in 18 months amid an unprecedented security crisis in the country. Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa, the son of the banana tycoon, was elected in the 2023 to finish the term of his predecessor Guillermo Lasso, which has resigned, dissolved Congress and triggered new election to avoid impeachment. On Sunday, voters will decide whether to stick with Noboa's course and against the country's crime epidemic or seek an alternative voice in his political rival Luisa Gonzalez. Also, the Noboa, a 37-year-old businessman, was a dark horse candidate of the 2023 election, beating Gonzalez in the year's second round vote. He sought to distinguish himself as the center-right and left candidate during the 2023 campaign, but has adopted a hardline approach to fighting crimes during his short first term. Noboa has presided over a series of crises in his term. He has declared numerous state of emergency, deployed military units to tackle gang activity in the country's streets, and began construction on a new maximum security prison after an infamous criminal leader escaped from custody last year. I declared war on terrorists, Noboa told CNN Christine Amanpour soon after the election. There are not controversial and gangs that have been there, and also the terrorist groups that have highly organized, structured armed forces that terrorize complete regions and have had controls in the past few years of our nation's prison. Noboa will face off against leftist politician Gonzalez and 14 other candidates on Sunday unless one candidate pulls through with more than 50% of the vote or the margin between the two most popular candidates is more than 10% wide. The election will proceed to a second round in April. Noboa's main rival, Gonzalez, is the close confidant of the former leftist president Rafael Correa, still a dominant figure in Ecuador's politics. During the 2023 campaign, Correa supported Gonzalez's run from exile in Belgium. In 2020, the former president was sentenced in absentia to 8 years in prison for the aggravated bribery, a charge he has repeatedly denied. Running to revive Ecuador, Gonzalez has pledged to tackle the drug trade just as vigorously as Noboa. Also, she has agreed to the government that should eliminate SNAI, that is NNAI, which manages the country's prisons, and invest in facial recognition technology to curb lawbreaking. She also wants to re-establish the Ministry of Justice, which Ecuador shuttered in the 2018 to reduce public spending. Noboa's first term has been seeing the widespread blackouts in Ecuador, and both candidates have pledged to increase the supply of alternative energy resources. Leaders from East and Southern Africa have called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire to end the deadly fighting in the Democratic Republic of Congo. At the Crisis Summit in Tanzania, the Southern African Development Community and East African Community, that is EAC blocs, urged all the warring parties to hold peace talks within 5 days, including with the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels. The rebels fighting government forces have seized vast swaths of land in the eastern DR Congo region, including the city of Goma. Their push toward the Bukavu have raised fear of a wider regional conflict. As part of their talks, the army chief have been told to draw up a security plan for Goma and surrounding areas. The latest UN figures suggest 2,900 people have been killed since early January as a result of the hostilities between M23 and armed forces of the DR Congo. Around 7 lakh people are estimated to have been displaced and thousands more have been injured. Saturday's gathering in the Dar es Salaam, Tanzania's biggest city, brought together heads of state and government representatives to try to resolve the worsening the security and the humanitarian situation in the city. The summit emphasizes that political and diplomatic engagement is the most sustainable solution to the conflict, said the follow-up communique. It has also demanded the reopening of the Goma airport and other key routes to facilitate humanitarian aid, as well the withdrawal of uninvited foreign armed forces from Congolese territory. M23, which is made up of ethnic Tutsis, also says that the fighting for minority rights, while the DR Congo government says the Rwandan-backed rebels are seeking control of the eastern region's vast mineral wealth. Rwandan President Paul Kagame, who was at the summit, has repeatedly denied any involvement in supporting the rebels. The DR Congo President Felix opted to appear at the summit via the video link. Prime Minister Judith Suminwa was there in person. There was no immediate response from the Suminwa or the Congolese delegation to the joint communique. Kenya President William Ruto, the current EAC chairman, stressed military solution alone could not resolve the crisis. We must resist the temptation to think that we can somehow shoot or bombard our way into a solution in the face of such a complex situation, he said. Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan underscored a collective responsibility of regional leaders to end the conflict, saying history will judge us harshly if we remain still and watch the situation worsen day by day. The ongoing conflict dates back to 1990s but have rapidly escalated in recent weeks. The DR Congo is so vast, 2/3 of the size of Western Europe, that is the member of the both East and Southern African blocs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party will form the government in Indian capital Delhi for the first time in 27 years as it scripted an impressive election victory. The Bharatiya Janata Party, that is also called BJP, has won or is leading in 48 seats in the 70-member Legislative Assembly, while the incumbent Aam Aadmi Party, also known as AAP, is ahead in 22 seats according to data from the Election Commission of India (ECI). A party that wins more than halfway mark of 35 seats can form the government. Development wins, good governance triumphs, Modi wrote on X, adding his party would leave no stone unturned in developing Delhi. In a video message on X, the Aam Aadmi Party's former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said he and his party humbly accepted the verdict of the people and congratulated the BJP on its win. I hope they live to the expectations of the people who voted for them, he said. The election was a battle of prestige for both the BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, given Delhi's symbolic importance as the country's capital. The city, a federally administered territory, has been governed by the AAP since 2013, with voters backing its strong record of welfareism. But the party and its leader have faced several challenges recently, with leaders embroiled in corruption allegations which they have denied. For the BJP, securing Delhi represents more than just electoral success. It marks a crucial foothold in the nation's capital after being out of power there since 1998. The party threw resources at Delhi's campaign, with Modi as well as Home Minister Amit Shah attending events. Congress, the main opposition party at the national level, was also there in the race but did not win even a single seat. The party governed Delhi from 1998 to 2003 but was ousted by the allegations of corruption that have saw the voters turn out up instead. It has failed to make a mark since. Experts say the win in politically crucial Delhi will enforce Modi's popularity among Indian voters after his party lost its outright majority in the last year's general election. The defeat is a big blow to Aam Aadmi Party, a much smaller party praised in its early years in power for focusing on improving education and health facilities in the city. It also governs Punjab state, but retaining Delhi would have been a major trump for the beleaguered party, now facing questions about its future. After more than a decade in power in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party's appeal has waned, especially among the middle class, which have once drawn to Kejriwal's anti-corruption stance. Kejriwal, once a champion of the middle class-led anti-corruption movement, had pivoted to becoming the party of the poor. It is not yet clear when the poor and Delhi's struggling working class abandoned him. Corruption allegation, the jailing of key leaders, and Kejriwal's own arrest damaged AAP's campaign, creating a vacuum the BJP swiftly filled. Backed by vast resources and a powerful electoral machine, the BJP double-engine pitch, which the state and federal governments are ruled by the same party, promised stability and better governments. Ukraine's president says that North Korean forces have returned to the front line in the Russia-Western Kursk region after reports they were withdrawn last month due to heavy casualties. In a video address on Friday, Vladimir Zelensky said the Russian army had brought back in the North Korean soldiers who were carrying out new assaults in the regions partially occupied by Ukraine. He added hundreds of Russian and North Korean military personnel have been destroyed in January. Western officials told the BBC they believed at least 1,000 of the 11,000 troops sent from the North Korea have been killed in the past 3 months. North Korea and Russia have not commented yet. A spokesperson said that it was probable they had pulled out after suffering heavy combat losses. The spokesman also added that he has been referring to areas where his forces were fighting without giving any details about how long that front line was. Recent report attributed to South Korean intelligence that have suggested the North Korean soldiers are unprepared and unprepared for the modern warfare and are especially vulnerable to the Ukrainian drones. Military experts say the reports of North Korean casualties, if they continued at this pace, are unsustainable. The soldiers were deployed after Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un deepened bilateral ties in recent months, including signing a security and defense treaty. Pyongyang's assistance to Moscow now also extend to large amount of ammunition and weapons. The troop also seen to have been sent to boost Russia's fighting forces, who have been seen significant losses. Russia's military has not publicly revealed its battlefield casualties since September 2022, when it said that 5,900 soldiers had been killed. But Ukraine's president said the week up to 350,000 Russian soldiers had been killed, and other reports suggest that number could be significantly higher. Zelensky put Ukraine's military casualty at 45,100, but a military expert in both Ukraine and the West believe the losses are much higher. Also, Ukraine troops launched a lightning offensive in the Kursk 6 months ago, seizing more than 1,000 square kilometers, that is 386 square miles of Russian territory. The Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and the US President Donald Trump struck a warm tone at their first meeting on Friday, with Tokyo avoiding tariffs that Trump has slapped on other allies for now. Heaping praise for each other at the White House, the two leaders pledged to stand together against Chinese aggression and said they found a solution for a blocked deal for the troubled US deal. Also, Trump has, however, pressed Ishiba to cut the US trade deficit with Japan to zero and warned that Tokyo could still face tariff on exported goods if it failed to do so. Ishiba, an avid geek and model warship fan, has also been under pressure to replicate Trump's close relationship relationship with their former premier and golf buddy Shinzo Abe. Both leaders insisted they had struck up a rapport during what was the only second visit by a foreign leader of Trump's new term. "I was so excited to see such a celebrity on television in person," Ishiba told the joint press conference while saying he was not trying to suck up. Also on television, he is frightening and has a very strong personality, but when I met him in actual, he was very sincere and very powerful. As they exchanged photographs, Trump praised the 68-year-old Japanese premier as a good-looking, typically one of the former reality TV stars' highest order of praise, and the US president laughed and said, "That's a very good answer," while Ishiba said he could not respond to a theoretical question about whether he would retaliate to any US tariffs. Trump meanwhile said the Japan's Nippon Steel would make a major investment in US Steel but not take over the troubled company as previously negotiated. "They'll be looking in an investment rather than a purchase," Trump said. His predecessor Joe Biden had blocked the deal. The two leaders also doubled down on decades-old US ties in security and trade despite fears that Trump could turn on Tokyo as he was with other US allies. Trump said they had agreed to fight Chinese economic aggression, and in a joint statement they condemned Beijing for provocative activities in the contested South China Sea. They also called for a denuclearized North Korea, although Trump, who met the leader Kim Jong-un during his first term, said he wanted to have relationship with Pyongyang. Iran has said it is ready to negotiate with the United States but not under the maximum pressure strategy by Donald Trump. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said in a statement on Saturday that the lifting of sanctions require negotiations but not within the framework of a maximum pressure policy, because it would not be a negotiation but a form of surrender. Araghchi's statement came after Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei also urged the government not to negotiate with the United States, calling such an approach reckless. Khamenei, who has the final say on all strategic decisions in Iran, referred to Iran's previous experience negotiating with Washington. In 2015, Iran struck a landmark deal with the United States, France, Germany, and United Kingdom, China, and Russia to regulate its nuclear program in return for the easing of international sanctions. However, during his first term in 2018, Trump unilaterally withdrew the US from the agreement and reinstated heavy sanctions on Tehran despite European opposition. Trump on Wednesday called for a verified nuclear peace agreement with Iran, adding that it could not and cannot have a nuclear weapon. Iran insists its nuclear program is solely for peaceful purposes and denies any intention to develop any atomic weapon. The US president, however, reinstated on Tuesday his maximum pressure policy with Washington on Thursday, announcing financial sanctions on entities and individuals accused of shipping hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Iranian crude oil to China. Araghchi said on Saturday that Iran does not want to negotiate with a country that is simultaneously imposing new sanctions. Now let's look at the sports highlights. Tiger Woods will compete in the first PGA Tour event for the 7 months next week at the Genesis Invitational in San Diego. Woods, who will host the Genesis Invitational at the Torrey Pines, was announced as a part of the field in a statement from the organizers on the Friday, with the tournament teeing off on February 13. The 15-time major champion last played on the tour in July when he missed the cut at the Open. He then underwent the back surgery in September, the underset, and the latest setback on a long list of injuries to plague his career. Speaking to reporters in December, Woods said that he had a long way to go before he would be able to make a competitive return to the golf, adding that his body just won't recover like it used to do. Also, while this will be the Woods' first PGA Tour with the event of the year, he has starred in the newly formed Tomorrow's Golf League, that is TGL, a stadium-based technology-driven format of the game which was founded alongside Rory McIlroy. Also, he had played at an unofficial PNC Championship event alongside son Charlie in December, narrowly finishing in second place after a playoff against Ben Hurd and Jason Langer. Shubman Gill anchored anchored the chase with a measured 87-run innings as India beat England by 4 wickets in the opening ODI to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series in Nagpur on Thursday. Chasing a modest 249, India overhauled the target in the 39th over. India started shakily with the loss and the openers Rohit Sharma on 2 out and Yashasvi Jaiswal early, but Shreyas Iyer counter-tracking 59, Gill's 87 and Akshar Patel's 52 took them to over the line. For England, Saqib Mahmood and Adil Rashid took 2 wickets each. Earlier, India bundled England out of 248 with the debutant Harshit Rana 3 on 53 and Ravindra Jadeja 3 on 26, striking at the important junctures to peg back the visitors after they made a promising start. Shubman Gill is the player of the match for his match-winning knock of 87 runs, says that there was but and the bits and pieces in what the Pacers are there for. So it was important for him to show the intent and avoid playing on the back foot. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on the social media platforms Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel Millennium News 24. You can also watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and the latest news with us. Download the Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA for Android and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News Channel 24.